Hello and welcome to Movie Mash. And today we've got a spooky little treat for you. We're jumping into a film called Marshmallow. It's like a summer camp horror film that's been making waves in the indie scene. But the big question is it worth roasting marshmallows or should we run for the forest? Let's find out. All right, so here's the setup. A young lad, he's a bit of a loner. He's sent reluctantly to a summer camp by his parents. And as you can imagine, there's all fun and games, but the usual tropes like ghost stories over a campfire, all the usual tropes. But it turns out the ghost story is about a local legend who kind of comes to life. So the fun and games are over and it's all now about survival. Now, this film is directed by a director called Daniel Del Purgatorio, and he's relatively new to the film scene. The thing is, you'd never know he was new, an amateur. I wouldn't say an amateur, but you'd never know he was new because this film, the way he was shot, it's very professional and it looks great. It's like even the cinematography, everything. It's well shot. It looks like a big budget film, and I know it's low budget, so he utilized the budget, whatever he has, really well. Now, starring this young lad called Q Lawrence, and I have to say he was brilliant. This film literally is resting on his shoulders. He's carrying it. He's the star. And the reason why I say he's brilliant is that I'm not going into spoilers. It's just, like he was a bit of a loner. Nothing wrong with him, but he just struggled to make friends. He's not the cool kid, you could say, but all the cool kids don't want him around. And you feel this kind of loneliness and sadness in him because he just wants to play and have friends. And it kind of made me really get invested with him. Now, as you can imagine, he goes to the summer camp and he meets a few misfits that are similar like himself and start having fun. And you feel like good for him. Sorry about that. You feel great for him that he's made friends with all these other kids, and you see the joy and happiness in him. And I'll be honest with you, before the horror kicks in, I liked that part so much that it had that goosebumps. It has that Stephen King's It feel or Stand By Me and all that. But I was so invested with these bunch of misfits having fun and all that. Yeah, I would actually been quite content if the film went on like that. Even though I liked horror and liked the horror in it, I just felt like the boy was really good. All right, so let's get into the positives. The atmosphere nails it. You got this like eerie, deep forest silence, and you got the kind of the way the camera lingers. The way the director shot it, the camera lingers in the forest. It builds up this kind of tension, and it's done really well. Especially, as I say, the young lad, because you feel the weight on him, and you feel he gives you that emotional feeling where you really feel sorry for him. And as I said before, I'm not going to go on. All right, so let's talk about the antagonist, and I'm not going to say too much about it because I want you to see all about it. What I will say about it is that you've got the simple use of headlamps just to kind of give you that creepy, eerie feeling where he's around. And I think that really worked for the film because yourself, like, it's just the silence and then you see this creepy light, shit's going to go down. Oh, also, I will say that sometimes less is more, if you get what I mean. As soon as you see him, like, you're kind of out of the game, but less is more in this, and it works in this. All right, so let's get into the negatives. So for me, it's okay, but the pacing towards the middle maybe annoy people because the horror and the action hasn't started. It's not that kind of film. For me, I enjoyed, as I said, I enjoyed the interaction with all the kids and all that. I liked it. It was fun. But some people might go, oh, let's get the horror going. And I can see that a lot of people will get annoyed. But for me, it's just a nitpick. To me, it's not a problem, but I can imagine other people will. Another negative, and it's a nitpick, but I know it's not the film's fault. The side characters I felt like could have had a little bit more depth, like what's their real motivation. But as I said, you'll see they're just there in the background, all right, but you'll see more why at the end. But what I'll say is, look, there's so many characters in it. I suppose you've got to focus on the main ones, and I suppose you can't really. It's just a couple of things I'd like to know. Oh, why that person's doing this and why is that doing that? So for me, I understand, but I wouldn't mind it a little bit more. But again, I'm not going to moan. All right, so this is a negative and a positive. So the film is got a lot of twists and turns, which are actually good. Normally I get what's going to happen, but I didn't see a few of these coming. So it's ambiguous. It's got the mystery feeling. Now, what I'll say is, as I say, there's loads of twists and turns. The last twist at the end, the ending plot, I wasn't sure about, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure. Now, I know I've spoken to other people who did like that, but I wasn't sure about it. It's definitely different and it's out of the box, you could say. But what I will say, which is a positive, the last scene in the film made me actually appreciate then the last plot, and it made me feel like, all right, I wouldn't mind seeing what happens next. I mean, it's a standalone film. It doesn't have to have a sequel, but it kind of gives you that, oh, right. So now the plot twist actually works for me. And I do feel if there's a sequel, it won't be quite a hit. I reckon it won't be a rehash as the first one. Like, I know Friday the 13th are literally kind of the same, even though they're fun. But I got a feeling that you'll see it'll have a different direction, even though it's keeping the same elements. But I wouldn't mind that, but we'll see. All right, so final verdict. Marshmallow is a creepy campfire horror with tension that works for me. It's got atmosphere. It's got, as I said, tension. It's creepy enough. But I will say that some people would like a bit more gore and horror in it. And I don't, to me, it was fine because I enjoyed it the way it was. And I can imagine that to get it to a bigger audience, I think it might have been kind of a PG-13, 12A or something. But for me, I was happy enough with the way it is. The blood and gore didn't bother me. There is some, but it's just that for me, I didn't mind. But I'm sure some people may find it, oh, I want more blood. And I know a couple of people that did, but for me, it's fine. Now, I will say, as I say, it's got tension and a lot of dread. It's done really well. I do really think this is worth checking out for anyone who likes Stand By Me, Goosebumps, Stephen King's It, that kind of, oh, and Summer of 84, very like Summer 84. Now, the film is set in this, I think it's 2025, but it does feel very 80s, do you know what I mean? But like everything else does. Everyone wants to be in the 80s now, but I will say, I will give it an 8 out of 10. Now, the reason I'm going to give it's quite high. Yeah, the reason why I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 is because I should have said, the music, the score, and the silence it uses, but the score is really good. I mean, it's very professional. You could see this on a big budget movie. The cinematography, the way it's shot, all of this could have felt like it was a big budget movie. And for what they done, and how good it was to me, I have to give them an 8. I'd nearly give them a 9 for how good it is. There's so many movies in the cinema at the moment that aren't worth a shit. Do you know what I mean? But this definitely is. Now, I will say, this definitely is a gem. Yeah, it's a nice little gem. Like that film, Summer of 84. Yeah, it's a gem like that. And I'm hoping it's not going to go under the radar. But I found out that if you're interested, oh yeah, I should say, right, this is a problem. It had a very limited release in the US, and unfortunately it's probably to do with finances to get it out there. It was not released here in the cinema in the UK, which is a bummer. Now, I happened to get from a friend the screener, so I was lucky to see it, yeah. I was recommended by my mate. And it wasn't released here. And I have to say, it's a real shame that stuff like this just can't get the boost when you have so much rubbish in the cinema at the moment. But what I'll say is that it is currently playing on Apple TV. Now, it might be on Amazon too, I don't know. But I really highly recommend you check this out, especially if you're into that kind of genre. And I really and also try not to watch it on bootleg, because I think the film could do with a bit more money and a bit of backing, and I think you'll understand when you see it. All right, so my question is to you. Have you lot seen this movie? Have you liked it? Did you hate it? Or are you interested in seeing it? Please let me know in the comments. And if you like this review, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. But for now, and until next time,